And to discuss the immediate impact of the carbon tax, I was joined earlier by the Treasurer, Wayne Swan. Treasurer, how much does it worry you that from now on, rightly or wrongly, Australians may blame all cost of living pressures on the carbon tax?
Well, Lee, the most important thing is to get the policy right, and I believe we've got the policy settings right. The fact is that in the 21st century, to be a first-rate developed economy, you've got to be substantially powered by renewable energy and more energy-efficient practices. We also understand the impact of dangerous climate change, not just on the environment, but also on our economy. So I think we've got the framework right with carbon pricing, a market-based system which is the most efficient and least cost. But of course, there is an impact on costs overall, and there's been this scare campaign run by the Liberal Party, which has really defied reality. But we'll deal with that in the debate in the days, weeks and months ahead.
Well, how are you going to do that? Because one of the issues for you so far has been that people don't seem to understand how the carbon tax is going to work or believe that they will be adequately compensated. Why has Labor had such a difficult time selling this policy and explaining it?
Well, I think first and foremost, all of those claims that have been made by Mr Abbott, all of the lies, if you like, have now been mugged by reality. And their extreme statements will have less credibility day by day, week by week. The fact is that the impact on inflation is 0.7%, less than 1 cent in the dollar. But if you go around and listen to what Mr Abbott has been saying, Weet-Bix, for example, won't be affordable. People won't be able to afford breakfast. The cost of a lamb roast will go to $100. Those things are patently absurd and are being revealed as being patently absurd and nothing more than a scare campaign from the Liberal Party and their allies.
But you went to Woolies on Friday and bought 11 groceries, and then you went back on Sunday to show that there was no price difference there. But if you go to a mum and dad corner store in 12 months' time and you buy the same 11 groceries, they will be more expensive, won't they?
Yeah, sure, there will be an increase in price, and there will be a small or modest impact in that price from carbon pricing. You see, this is a really fundamental economic and environmental reform which goes to the core of our future prosperity, and he's just been playing the most crude political game with it, and I think that'll become more evident over time. You
say it's a fundamental reform, but I go back to my original point. Isn't it, likely that every time somebody thinks, wow, that's pretty expensive for a sandwich, or, geez, that plumbing quote seems a bit over the top, they're going to look for the easiest thing to blame, and that's going to be Julia Gillard?
Well, I think it'll be a much more sophisticated debate and discussion as we go forward from here on, because Mr Abbott has been able to get away with a lot of extreme statements. But the truth now is we've got the ACCC in the field. If people are doing the wrong thing, they can be out there enforcing the law of the land when it comes to these unreasonable claims. And secondly, the fact is that the price increases that they've been told they're going to get are not going to be there for the great bulk of people. And where they are, where this modest impact on inflation impacts, we are providing assistance for households, via the tax cuts, the tripling of the tax-free threshold, a fundamental reform in itself, plus increases in family payments and pensions and allowances.
The carbon tax is forecast to add an average $9.90 to household bills. The average compensation will be $10.10. Why are you overcompensating people when you're trying to get the budget back to surplus?
Oh, I think it's a responsible package. I don't think anyone could.
Why overcompensate?
No. Well, I don't think in terms of the presentation of those figures you could claim it was wasteful. But what we have done in this package is take the opportunity to put in place some fundamental reforms. And tripling the tax-free threshold not only provides the tax cuts that helps people with the increase in the cost of living, it's a fundamental tax reform in its own right, and it encourages work and encourages workplace participation by people on relatively low incomes. So you get a double bang for your buck, if you like, with that reform, and that's pretty important.
Is Labor dreaming that Julia Gillard's fortunes are going to be turned around on the back of one of the most divisive policies in memory, implemented on the back of a broken election promise?
Well, I've been around for some of the big reform debates in Australian politics, which were put in place by Paul Keating and with Bob Hawke, and many of those debates were just like the debate we've had. over carbon pricing. All of the hysterical predictions, the very strong political tactics being run by the Liberals on this occasion were run then. The fact is, the Australian people understand that as a country such as we are, we have to be a bit ahead of the curve.
But does Julia Gillard's leadership hinge on how well she sells and explains this policy over the coming weeks?
Well, she's got this done. This has been a debate which has bedeviled this country for the last 20 years. But she doesn't, because most
Australians aren't in favour of it and anxious that they're going to be worse off. So the job's not really done yet, is it?
Well, we don't make these judgments based on a weekly opinion poll, a monthly opinion poll. We make these judgments based on what's good for the country. I couldn't look my children or grandchildren in the eye in 10 or 20 years' time if we squibbed this fundamental reform because of some bad opinion polling.
Wayne Swan, thank you very much.
Good to be with you.